So now we're heading into Barter Beach. Barter Beach, the Union, the MUA and the Fish Army call a public beach and a horse beach. The fact is that it's neither. Horses use it, but that doesn't make it a horse beach, and people swim here. It doesn't make it a public beach. It's a beach in an industrial area that is owned by the state government to the high water mark. People can use the beach, horses can use the beach, but it's actually not designated, it's not registered or zoned for recreation. It's industrial land. Looking to the south, we can see the other side of Kwinana Bulk Terminal. At the Kwinana Bulk Terminal, you can see a couple of tugboats that have been pushing in that ship to berth it so it can unload. When I spoke about the reclamation, it starts here. It starts from Kwinana Bulk Terminal and goes all the way up the beach to the Alcoa jetty. It's about 2 kilometres. How far out the reclamation would go? Well, there's the channel right out there. Now, you can see a little bird down on the foreshore here, and I like to include the story if I see one. That's quite a rare bird. It's called a tern. In fact, it's called a left-hand tern. The reason they're called left-hand terns is because they do little circles anti-clockwise. So you've had a bit of a treat today, the left-hand tern. Way in the distance is the Australian Marine Complex. You can see a very large building and a not so large building. The Australian Marine Complex is the defence industry and shipbuilding maritime industry hub, the Australian Marine Complex. We're going to go for a drive through there a little bit later on. Now that area is also on a reclamation and it's full. So what I've been saying is that when we're talking about the freight task moving to this area from Fremantle, we should also be talking about the expansion of the Australian Marine Complex to accommodate the extra shipbuilding and ship maintenance and defence industry activity that we know is coming. There's probably going to be some quite significant announcements about that in the not too distant future. Over here is the old Bhp Export Facility. It's a jetty, it's been around for a very long time. It's derelict and probably in the Westport process will be demolished because it will be where the reclamation is. And incidentally, this area here, Barter Beach, was where a private port was going to be built. It was going to take trade, break bulk trade, which is like cars or sheep or livestock or whatever, it's scrap metal. And it was stage 1 of a private port. Stage 2 was to be further south. It got this area, the stage 1 got all of its environmental approvals, and this, I'm going back probably 18 to 20 years now, but it never progressed, and there's a whole lot of reasons for that, to do with other proposed ports from the state government, and there were problems with stage 2 being too close to one of the industries, so it got too complicated and it didn't eventuate. But the point I want to make is that it had all of its environmental approvals through the EPA. So that's pretty much it for this area. We'll now head north and go to what is the second public beach, called Challenger Beach, not Barter Beach, because it's not a public beach. Okay, got that? Interestingly, Mount Brown on our right, there used to be houses that were on there. That used to be a township, and it was a bit like Kwinana Beach Township. It was demolished in the 60s, I think it was, or 70s, and it became the recipient of a firing range from offshore. So the ships would fire into there. And a bit of local knowledge, the local fire brigade, volunteer fire brigades, won't go up onto Mount Brown if it's on fire because of the unexploded ordnance. Now we're heading down to Challenger Beach, and we'll stop here before we go into the water. So what can we see? Well, To the south is the Alcoa Export Jetty for alumina, and there's a ship that's quite heavily loaded there. We can see a couple of those tugboats again. They're heading north up to Fremantle, and we can see the Australian Marine Complex on my hard right. What I'd like you to observe is the amount of reclamation you can see. So it juts out a long way into the water. When I spoke about the AMC needing to expand and defence industry needing a place to expand into, this is it. From the Alcoa Jetty all the way to the Australian Marine Complex. There's essentially no seagrass along here, right out to the channel, which is a fair way out. What I reckon should happen is that the dock for the AMC and defence industry is floating and it's offshore. That means, and it's pinned, of course, floating and pinned, but it's directly connected to the reclamation for the new port in Kwinana when it happens, and that preserves this public beach and the limestone cliffs that you can see all the way down there. So we've got the cliffs, the beach, and then more beach, and it's all part of the Belia Regional Park, which is we were looking at before with Mount Brown. So that's quite an extensive regional park. So there's an elegant solution that preserves this public beach, and it has, if it was floating pinned to the seabed, it has no impact on the coastal processes. And like I said, there's no seagrass here. So there's some interesting little shacks along here that you can see. Again, to my heart, we're going to drive through there, and I'll give you a talk about what they are.